Okay. Hey, trench buddies. I just wanted to pop in real quick and talk about these two paintings. I hope you guys are doing well, by the way. I wish I could just slow the footage down and talk like I normally do for this video, but CSP's time lapses are actually the devil. Like, I can't alter the video at all, otherwise it just cuts out parts of the video altogether, or it quite literally just sits there and does nothing. So annoying, so I'm sorry about that. But I digress. I have something exciting to say, so stay to the end to hear the special announcement. I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it. Okay, so the first one is an updated design for one of my oldest OCs. Her name is Alistair. She's a companion to Midnight, whom you've met before. She's the brown-haired girl that I draw every once in a while. They don't like each other at all, and Alistair is kind of a menace. She's got a really high voice, so she kind of sounds like she's screeching when she's yelling, and she yells all the time. And no one really likes her in general, doesn't really like when she speaks already, but her voice makes it, like, worse, so everyone can't stand her. She's like a little seed of hate, and I love her so much. She fights people all the time, verbally and physically. She's actually really strong. She's way stronger than she looks, and she's ruthless to boot, honestly. She has a sort of childish, egocentric cadence, which I think makes her even more scary and intense, because I don't know if y'all have ever paid attention to kids when they speak, but they're so like self-centered, egocentric at first when they're developing, and so they aren't prone to empathy, and it's something that they have to learn, and so they act on their baser desires and express their emotions in their purest form. So that's how I kind of wanted her to express herself. It's just very much like all about me, what I desire. You're puny and weak, and I don't like weak things, but I do like to break them kind of idea. That's where she's coming from. I actually have a story for these two, with other characters that I haven't really been drawing, and I actually still edit the story to this day, but it was created way back when, all the way when they were born, in middle school, actually. I love writing Alistair because of how cartoonishly hateful she is. It will always be a good time whenever I'm writing lines for her. Her interaction between her and Midnight is very much, it's kind of reminiscent of, if you've ever seen D. Gray Man, it's reminiscent of Krona's relationship with that spirit that's attached to him. That's very much their relationship. She's short, appearing more like a small teen, though she's actually much older. Her hobbies consist of messing with Midnight, plotting on how to see the world burn, and murder. And quite literally, she does kill people for sport. That's something that I have written in there. She's actually insane. And honestly, I was insane for coming up with her in the first place so young, so I don't know what that says about me, but there really isn't much to her. I just like her personality and her design, so I continue to draw her all the time. And I gave her like this mullet now, where she's got these little like curly cues that come out either in front of her ears or behind her ears. I keep changing like what exactly that looks like, but either way, she has like a little like mullet. I wanted to give her like some variation of horns, and I thought that that was really cute. It's still kind of not exactly where I want it to be, but that's kind of the idea. I like the redesign. I tried something new with the lines, eyes, lips, and hair. I wanted to be more exact and light-handed with my lines, choose what I wanted to accentuate with line weight, and overall not overthink any shapes. I really like how thin all the lines are, and I also really like how I did her eyes with the eyelashes. I don't usually draw eyes like that, but I think that was the second time that I drew eyes that way. and I like the way it looks. It's really intense, but it's not something that I do all the time. The hair is absolutely my favorite thing I drew in this illustration because it really does look tangible. It looks heavy. It looks like it's on her shoulder, and it's kind of splaying over her back. I love drawing hair. So proud of myself. This whole drawing, it didn't actually take me that long, and I was pretty zonked out, if you know what I mean. So I was like super omega relaxed. I was just kind of plugging away, going. I think it took me like a couple hours, not even. So A+ for me. Moving on, the last one is another t-shirt commission for Daybreak Escape, that band. This one is the goth Isabelle and the Kitsune Shunobon Scourge again. I wanted to keep the creepy oppressive vibe the same to match the very first design featuring them. When I first drew it up, it was actually on Clip Studio Paint on my phone, funny enough, and the idea was just like a brief flash of inspiration. At first, I didn't really like it though, and benched it for a while, and then I kind of like forgot about it. And when I was going through my stuff, I came back to it, saw the sketch, and was like, nah, I'm gonna commit to this. This is a cool idea. And I pushed myself all the way through. I focused really hard on merging their faces together, and I like how it looks kind of like textured, like her skin is being sucked into his flesh, which is exactly what I wanted to portray. Like he's consuming her, and she's not exactly resistant to that idea, so they become something not quite whole, but like all 100% aura, just like oppression, aggression, like I don't know how else to describe it. It was just like super hardcore. That's what I wanted to portray, was just like spiritual pressure. For my Bleach fans out there. Some background about these two. Isabelle is a grumpy Mandy type girl, which I talked about in my previous video with the other DVE OC, Holly and Yuki. And she takes delight in other people's misery, just like Mandy does. So she's just very like sarcastic, deadpan, dry humor, takes things really seriously, but doesn't really like show emotion, if that makes sense. Like she's kind of like, her face is really blank and she's dry. She's a fencer and takes it very seriously, almost cartoonishly so, going as far as to threaten her opponents that she'll genuinely kill them, stuff like that. So it's very like Bakugo from My Hero, which I think I also said in the other video. Her father is a very successful and aloof man, chief engineer of a prominent weapons development company in universe. He was a fencer in his younger years, and his wife, Isabelle's mother, encouraged him to teach Isabelle at a young age, around 6 or so they could have something to do together, all of that stuff. And I think I would also say that he saw that she has talent as well. So he's not really like a Tony Stark kind of guy. He's more like the blonde girl's dad from Kaiju number 8, if you've ever seen that. He's very like stoic and aggressive, and so he's kind of like oppressive, I guess, in his overall demeanor and vibe. Isabelle's mother is actually deceased, but she was a very successful and famous painter who died in a freak plane crash accident suddenly when Isabelle was about 11 or so. She was kind of like the chill parent and balanced out her husband's intense and stoic demeanor, but now that she's gone, he became cold and overly hard on Isabelle to do well in all things, as he does. He does well in all things. He no longer has that balancing force reminding him to be compassionate, and Isabelle feels her father's immense pressure. Perfection is the only standard, and encouragement turned into expectation. So she essentially has daddy issues. The bassist and I started off with this kind of like base idea for her family very early on, and then just kind of built her life up very quickly thereafter. And it's just so fun and interesting because this whole idea, her whole self, came from just me drawing her design and thinking of like base personality traits, and then after that just trying to think about where her personality came from. It just created this whole this whole world for her, and it's so fun. And then on top of that, collaborating with a second person like takes character creation to a whole other level, and he and I were just like nerding out the whole time. And I think at one point we were working on things for this story for their merch like 8 hours plus, probably more like 12 or something. Actually insane. I digress. We had so much fun, and we thought that like we were meshing her really well with the existing universe that we have. But the larger universe isn't set in stone yet. Once it is, though, I'll make a video on all of that and like how it all connects to each other, and then you'll really get to see like how special she is. They all are special. All of the kids are special. But just how like grounded and real they are once I actually put all of that out. Isabel's mom, a little bit about her mom. Isabel's mother comes from the House of Morgan. They just call themselves the House of Morgan because they're artsy fartsy, but her last name is Morgan, which has its own lore. The House of Morgan has its own lore that ties into the greater plot in terms of the demons running around and possessing the children, or like following the children around. So I'm not even going to get into that. But this is where Scourge's attachment to Isabel comes in. Scourge is essentially a demon attached to Isabel's maternal family. He's technically a yokai because he's mixed with the Kitsune and the Shunaban. Her mother comes from a long line of painters, all successful and renowned. People just chalk that up to good breeding, essentially, good genes. But the real reason, though, is because one of the earlier ancestors of the Morgan family initiated a pact with Scourge. A life of luxury, if you will. The Morgan will definitely become famous and talented, live a life of fortune and grandeur, but they will feed themselves to him. They have to. That's one of the conditions. They have to feed themselves to him. Not only that, but they must have children. The Morgan must have children and feed one of their children randomly to Scourge as payment. Scourge doesn't disclose any timelines, allowing their fear that their time has come or the time for their children has come build into something delicious and savory, because he's just straight up hardcore evil, and I love it. Isabel's mother was taken from her because of this pact, not a genuine accident. And once Isabel reaches about 15 or so, Scourge comes for her because, he comes for her, and he comes for her prematurely because technically, Mrs. Morgan only had one child. They hadn't had another. And so Scourge would really actually need to like wait for Isabel to grow older, have children, and then pursue her. But her soul is just so strong and defiant, but also like wavering in its structure because of what's going on with her mother's death and what's going on with her father, that he's just like, oh, this is the perfect opportunity to feed on her soul. It's so irresistible because of the dichotomy between her strong personality and her like insecurities and doubts. That's essentially the long and short of her background. Super, super cool. There's some small nuanced things that aren't set in stone that I don't really necessarily want to say, but like I want to get really detailed and like nitty gritty. I've been kind of thinking about writing like short stories for their origins. I don't really know if we would do anything with like selling those for the band or anything like that, because that would be like a way later down the road if they're super famous type deal. But I feel like it would be fun for me to write some stuff for them. I don't really share my writing with anybody, but I write all the time, so that would be pretty fun. But it's cool, no? I love her so much. Her design, her personality. And I love Scourge too because of how hardcore he is, from like the yokai combination that we chose and how well that meshes together into the design, to the loose personality and just the straight up 100% aura. I keep saying that, but like the aura is just so, and I keep saying oppressive too because that's what it feels like. Like when they're talking about spiritual pressure in Bleach, I feel like that's how I portray their energy when you're looking at them through the screen or on the merch or whatever. I don't know if that's really how it is. You guys can tell me, but anyway. I know I've been talking a lot and you haven't seen anything else, just the pictures of these, but I promise I'm almost done. It's time for the special announcement now. Yay! I was checking the channel out casually one day, a couple days ago, when I saw that we have 40 Trends Buddies now. It was super exciting. I smiled really hard when I saw it and immediately made a poll in the community tab wanting to ask you guys all what we should do for 40 subs. I know it's not much, but I think it's plenty. I actually like to celebrate every 10 instead of every 25 to keep the excitement high, to keep our morale up, you know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, 40 is better than 39 and 39 is better than 38, you know what I mean? So it's like all special. So I'm thinking either an artist study or like a struggle. So it's going to be a struggle with me regardless, but I'm thinking of either an artist study or Monster Hunter themed, either Legiacris, which I technically have promised you guys, but I haven't done it because I'm scared because I'm a big baby. Cough. Or Celtis Queen, which you've actually seen on a speed paint before, like one of my earlier videos, but I didn't really do her justice, and I really want to like paint her. So that sounds really fun. But I cannot choose. I cannot decide. So let me know in the comments what you want, or take the poll if you come across it on your For You page. If you have another idea that's completely different, that would be cool as well. You could just tell me. Just help your girl out, because I want to do something cute and special because I'm excited about it. Thank you all for watching my stuff as always. Like the video if you liked it, or not. It's whatever. And I'll see all 40 of y'all. All 40 of you guys in a random trench somewhere. Bye.